This is Moving Forward with Dr. Diana Clark.
Right. Welcome back to my channel, Moving Forward Talk with Dr. Diana Clark. I am your host. This is a space where we share stories of struggle, growth, and healing with hopes of encouraging those who may be walking similar season in life. And today I am joined by my son, Tavares Clark. So guys, this is probably going to be one of the most emotional interview that I would have conducted. Mr. Clark, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And
Now,
before we continue, Mr. Clark, tell the viewers, who is Mr. Tavares Clark?
gladly. Hello. Who's Tavares Clark? I say I am someone who, had relatively rough childhood, who was still raised all right. I'm someone who's gone through, education to all level into college. And I'm currently someone who's now working at Costco in their glasses warehouse. And last but not least, I am someone who has passion and creativity who expresses this through art.
Thank you. You mentioned your education. I like that you're gainfully employed. I love it. And your hobbies. Now, before we get into the actual interview, I just want to say something. As a mother, I do want to acknowledge something. When my son was growing up, I didn't have the understanding of autism that I have today. There were moments when I was in denial because I didn't know what I didn't know. And this conversation isn't about the guilt, it's about growth, understanding, and hopefully helping another mother or another parent recognize that it's never too late to learn, to listen, and to strengthen your relationship with your child or children. I believe this. I believe by saying this, I hope it resonate deeply with parents, because sometimes we do need to model being humble without dwelling on shame. And I'm already choking up. This episode isn't just about autism or MS. It tells the story of a family, my son and I, that continue choosing each other through misunderstanding, learning, and love. This is a message many families, I believe, need to hear. And I brought up autism and MS, multiple sclerosis, because, of course, my son has been diagnosed with both. And, as a mother, it can be really hard to hear and, of course, really hard to deal with. But I must say, I believe we're doing a very good job at healthily coping. And I must admit that my son has more strength and more courage dealing with all this than I could ever have. And Mr. Clark, Before you were diagnosed, what was it like for you growing up?
I would say that growing up, it was not pleasant. There were still many good moments like in there that I still like remember or keep to heart. But there's like some boring moments and whatnot, so that's fine. But there's like rough areas, like my behavior, I guess, not being understood, because I was what a kid, so I didn't. So naturally, I would not have much self awareness about my behavior. But some family members who like older than me, who like I think knew better, still did not understand like what I was doing, or what I was going on about. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because I just didn't really understand correctly when I was trying to do, like, I guess, my best. I suppose like I don't know. I suppose it made it hard to make friends, but I wouldn't say too hard. I still made friends with you know with Tajane in the the neighborhood where my grandparents lived. I still was able to make some friends in school, I guess, because I kind of picked up on how to be in conversations and kind of just connect with the person. But I also have, I guess, some slow response times, hard to read like social cues and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but school wasn't too hard to deal with. Um, but I guess I had moments of being felt left out, but I kind of just made do with it and kind of just went with how I was going. That's all I'd
Can,
say.
can you tell me or give an example of the moments when you felt understood, misunderstood, or unseen, or as you say, felt left out? Was it from feeling left out? Was it from the peers, family, or both?
I'll say with with my peers, I still because I still hung out with my family, and I still played games with my uncle and whatnot. My grandpa, just doted on me. My grandmother always gave me her love. Uh, my mother still was attentive on like my education, and like I still interacted with my sister as well. So it's really just my peers during the early years, because that was a moment where I didn't really fully understand, how to make friends and just balance that out with just living with life. Because like I played with them, sure, but I didn't really have friends and whatnot. And it's kind of extended to the class, so I kind of just sit there, whether it be lunch, recess, or classroom. I just see all the other kids kind of talking to each other, and like I seldom talk to any of them. I'll just be by myself and whatnot. So yeah, I was mostly with my peers.
You never mentioned that before, especially during, school to come home and say, I'm having a hard time establishing friendship.
Uh, I don't know the reasoning. I guess I didn't like want to talk about it, or just I don't know, not add anything. I don't know how to explain it. I just didn't feel like sharing it.
Okay.
Most likely.
So looking back now, what do you wish people, including your mom, myself, had understood about you?
I suppose it's like how to say? I guess I had my own ways of doing things. The things I don't do is not because I was just being mischievous. It's more so I guess wasn't motivated to do so. And I guess other part of it maybe because due to like the circumstances and whatnot, I felt like I was just kind of growing up faster. At least I don't know, I felt like I was doing so mentally rather than like emotionally.
Mhm.
And I guess when I do like try, I'm at like trying my best. And sometimes when I'm being taught stuff, it does like the ways it's being taught to me just doesn't click. And if it was like taught to me like a different way, I would have like understood it and kind of like got better at it.
How does that feel now? What emotions showing up for you saying that in this moment?
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know explain. I don't know what the word for it. It's not an epiphany. It's a different word.
Okay.
I guess like some form of recognition. I say is that that's the feeling. Like
Okay.
some form of recognition.
Okay. What are some things that you struggled with that people may have mistaken for something else? And I remember there's a lot of times that, yes, there are various episodes of that.
I guess like amount of times I was like not doing much and being called lazy. And it's like I said more so I wasn't motivated because I wasn't thinking and feeling like the same way I guess how a average person would feel is because I can be because I would know like such and such would need to be done. I know like the consequences. I know like if it was not what happens if it doesn't. I know I say the benefits if it is done. But it's like I didn't see much of a point to do it because I didn't like literally have the drive to go do it. Like I would know that it's good to brush my teeth so no cavities, but I was demotivated in doing it even though I knew what would happen because it's just didn't click well for me that I need to keep doing it. So on top of being like lazy, we call lazy. The other one is kind of told that I was like always dirty too because I didn't really follow the routine of doing like self hygiene because even though I did because again I did know I just wasn't really motivated or had like a set routine in my head to just do it regularly, so I fall behind. um
So with that, sorry to interrupt. With that, I remember we developed a routine and wrote everything we need to do or you need to do when you first wake up, that, right? And I see now it was still hard to follow. Um, and then we tried other avenue of saying, hey, to your little brother, whenever you're getting ready to do this, get your brother as well. And since you brought that up, looking back now, back then it was frustration, right? You had no motivation, and it was very frustrating for you as well as for us. How does that the way we dealt with it, being persistent, A little bit harsh at times, I must admit. How, tell me about that. Looking back, was it appreciated?
Um, I'd say some of it was like, appreciated
Mhm.
because there was always still that disconnect that was there and kind of still stayed there due to due to like the harshness still like coming through. You know, as a response of the behaviors I was still exhibiting around that time,
Right.
and it was still me learning as well as like the best as I can, but did leave me at least secluded still until it still left me a little bit secluded.
So, as a mother or as your mother, I'm not making excuses again, but I will say I didn't understand at the time. And do you think I didn't understand or I was in denial?
I want to say like a little bit of both.
Hmm.
It's like a little bit of both.
So, how did my lack of understanding and my denial, how did those affect you?
Mm,
And you know what? You may have already answered that based on what you said in the beginning. You were misunderstood and stuff. Were there times you wish that I had responded differently?
I'd say yes. So like it'd be a lot of times
Hmm.
and whatnot, especially like for the ones where I did show like earnest and willingness to actually do something. And, I don't know how to explain it. I say it did put some difficulty in like being like independent due to like lack of means for me to like do things and hard to like rely on like external aid due to either let's say either I don't want to say either, but it's mostly like like self doubt, not so much on other people, but on myself, but just mostly on myself.
Yeah.
And what was it? And what else? That's so dependent. Self doubt. And mm, I guess like only forms of resentment and just a quickened development of like self awareness on like not just myself but also my surroundings was kind of like led me to like only think a lot while I was not doing much. And I guess just being afraid to do failure and whatnot. So I say like that's about it.
Yeah. What would you, what do you think parents often misunderstand about children who are on the autism spectrum?
I think what parents misunderstand with children being autism spectrum is that the symptoms don't show up the same between boys and girls.
Mm.
Because with boys, it's apparent that if you kind of know the symptoms and like your son exhibits it, then he most likely has autism. But it won't be on the same level. It goes for the girls too. It won't be on the same level of autism as you see like other kids that do show more physical defects.
Mhm.
because the ones on the low end of the spectrum can look fine, but like inside they aren't, and so they're kind of going off of that. So, as I said before, it's easier to see with boys. With girls, it kind of gets conflated as like regular behavior, and that can like backfire on them if you don't notice it because it can cause them to get mixed diagnosed for like all other things before a doctor says what they actually have. Another thing what parents misunderstand with children is that other than behavior, they have like I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say the a reward system or how like psychologists say it actually is, but they have a different makeup in their brain that kind of just affects how they do things because you can repeat the same instructions on what they need to do, what happens if they don't do it, and what rewards they will get if they do it. Because well, if it doesn't click, they won't be motivated to do it. It's not that they don't. It's not that they don't understand. They do
Right.
understand, but they just can't really do it unless they are forced to. And you
So,
don't want to do that too much,
okay,
or else they kind of just go into some low self-esteem and whatnot.
okay. So I guess what I'm hearing as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, they are here and they understand what to do, but it's not connecting to say, let me do it unless they're forced. So maybe you're talking about the positive reinforcement
um
to say if you do what you're asked or if you stay in your routine, you'll be rewarded at the end of maybe the day or the week.
just something like that, yeah.
Okay.
And that kind of in the routine is also the part I want to follow up with
Mm-hmm.
is that they don't do that themselves. It's just how the brain does it. They
Mm-hmm.
just do a routine that allows them to get through the day. And if they don't follow with the routine, then they just kind of won't do anything and they feel awful because, well, in their mind, the mind sees that they didn't get to step one or they didn't get to step three. And so it just gives up and doesn't really want to do, and it causes, and it, I say, and it reflects in the body with the body language, the mood, and whatnot. And they just don't want to do much for the day. And they don't always have control over this. Like it can be managed, but they don't always have control over this. So it's kind of just best to let them continue on the routine. They can gradually change it themselves, or kind of work with them to gradually change it. So so I guess so that it helps them develop more naturally, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And also avoids them getting overloaded or just feeling depressed from not like getting through it.
So routine is very important.
Yeah. Another thing that well, another thing that parents don't misunderstand with children is when they don't go out as much or well, it will heavily depend on where it heavily depends on the environment if they go out as much. The kids will most likely still go out as much because they're still kids, so they're kind of going off of like the base instinct, so they'll go out and play.
Mhm,
But I mean more of if they either have small interests in things or they have like a hyper focus in one.
yeah.
The hyper focus in one interest is fine because I guess they're doing something, so it's not really seen as bad or really wholeheartedly misunderstood, but it could run counter to like what the parent wanted the children to do.
Mhm,
But for the ones where they have little interest, it's not because of how can I say it's not because of them wanting to be different. It's just that they genuinely have little interest in like all the average things because their circle of interest is like a lot smaller of what they like actually like.
yeah. So on that routine, you mind if I share something, just a memory?
Not sure.
You're in high school. I don't remember how old you were, what grade you were in, but we had Jet, and Jet was your responsibility. Remember Jet?
Yeah.
And I've always said, he's your responsibility. You should let me know before he has no food, but you'll never let me know he has no food until it's all gone. One night he didn't have enough food, and I said, okay, tomorrow morning we're going to go to the store. We woke up and I said, let's go to the store and come back. I think that's what I said. Remember? And you kept saying, no, I want to do this first. And I kept saying, no, this is first. Let's go to the store, get the dog food. You come back, you get dressed for school. But because your routine were always, you'll get up and you get dressed, asking you to go to the store first before getting ready for school was quite a hassle. It took us over an entire hour trying to say, okay. And I get it now. Had I known then what I know now, I would have just said, okay, let's get up, do it your way, keep your routine, and then let's proceed on. But it took us so long, you even missed the bus. You remember?
A little bit, yeah.
Wow. So, and even looking back, we cannot go back, but looking back, if it was today, is there anything you think that you could change in that moment?
Uh, I don't know, honestly. I guess either found a way, just I guess either just like found a way to be lenient and like just like go to the store and then come back, or yes, found a way to get ready, but enough to just you know
Yeah.
to not feel like the day got ruined, so I could go to the store and come back and they finish. It's like I guess it can be changed.
Because that morning
And
was that morning was a verbal World War III, wouldn't you say?
yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the diagnosis, receiving the diagnosis. Do you remember what date, month, and year that was?
Uh, it's like what was it, 2016 or 2017
I think
ish?
16.
I think
16.
2016.
Yeah.
I
August
only know
20.
the maybe because I only know
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah. So a lot had been going on, and we were asked or was recommended to do a series of testing. And I remember that we had an appointment like maybe a month later, but then I received a call to come in, test results are back, so we need you to come in. But before I go there, Mr. Clark, before your diagnosis, right? At what point, or was there a point when you realize you have autism before the diagnosis?
I don't think so. No.
Okay,
I guess I knew I was different, but I didn't really pinpoint it to like autism.
right. And at what point in life did you really figure out that, hey, I'm different from my brother and sister, from the other kids around me?
I don't think I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess either I don't know, first or second grade. I don't know. I don't really know like
Yeah,
which one exactly.
right. Around that time, first, second grade, or maybe even before then, I remember receiving a diagnosis of APD. You remember that? Auditory processing disorder.
I remember being told. I think by
Yeah,
you, I suppose.
yeah. So there was some indication of something, you know. And as I said, I was in denial because I remember one day my daughter said something to me. And I also remember one day when Lala from church said something to me, but I, constantly in denial. And then after having a lot of testing done, then it was APD, auditory processing disorder. And then now we're sitting in the doctor's office, and the diagnoses are read: autism and MS. And 10 days before your 18th birthday. If you can go back there, what went through your mind? Because I saw the other's emotion. I saw Tiffany's emotion. You remember what she did?
No.
She ran out the doctor's office crying, but she didn't want you to see the tears, so she ran out. I had to stay strong. Your brother was much younger. And even though he was much younger, he was asking most of the questions. I don't know if you remember that. What actually went through your mind as you heard autism and MS?
Not much for autism, really. because I guess I guess it was, I kind of just made do with like how I was like thinking and behaving. So like hearing that didn't really make a difference. For MS, I guess it's mostly just what it was and whatnot. And what was it? I guess like how it would go, I guess. How it would go. That's about it.
And even now, are there times when you find yourself time traveling in the future, worrying about just, what it's going to be like?
Not really, no.
Yeah. Because I
I mean, I
remember there,
guess
yeah.
yeah, because I'd say not really no with MS. I guess for autism, it's kind of like normal. It was still like normal life and whatnot.
Because I remember one day I asked you, and I know to deal with it, sometimes we had to make fun of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I deal with it at times. Because there are times when I'll ask you, so is today autism day or today MS day, based on your behavior, right?
Yeah.
All to, a way of coping. But I remember one day I asked you, are you scared of it? Are you scared? Any fears? And you said no. And I said, what if you were alone and you couldn't move? What would you do? You remember me asking you that question back in Sebring?
Sort of.
And your answer was, I just have to lay here until someone finds me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the hardest things for me to hear. It's reality, but it's one of the hardest things for me to hear. And I must applaud you for the courage and strength that you have had throughout this entire process.
Yeah. I think about it sometimes. It's like because just going back to like the memories that at least you know remember and seeing like how much of this is like me being like not meaning to be insensitive, how much was me just kind of just ahead of the curve kind of thing, how much is like being sound mind and whatnot. It's just like just like reflecting like the moments like leading up to here. Yeah.
After receiving the diagnosis, or did receiving the diagnosis bring relief because things finally made sense? Or did it create new fears?
I want to say it created new fears, but I don't know if I can just say it brought relief either.
Mm.
Because at least because like I kind of leave MS out of this because it just appeared close to the 18th birthday and just yeah, what was it? Anyone like 16 up to 65 or 70, I forgot what the end off age was still susceptible to like MS because they don't really know how it comes about. Autism is just like sure there's a name to it, but really it's kind of like the same old issue. It's kind of like going on like all the days before and probably like the days after.
Yeah.
Because like I kind of in part figured out what works, whether I knew it or not. It was just the usual problems with being like sticking with it and whatnot. Just anger management is like it was all the same thing. So it wasn't really. It was more neutral, if anything.
Right. So what fear, what new fears can you identify?
Um, New fears. I guess it's like how good my health will be just like days to come. 'Cause,
That's a normal one.
yeah, but it's like I never really, thought about it. Cause it's kind of like before MS, it was just like, okay, well, yeah, how like if I just like how would my life be if I just focus on my goal and just work with what I got? That's like one thing. But the MS one is more so just a thing that can only really be treated and doesn't really go away. And even when it's treated, there can still be a breakout, I think is what it's called, where it could just attack a part of your body or your brain. And one of these attacks could cause like permanent impairment. As opposed to, like I guess it's like a bit of like a I just I don't know how to explain it. I guess it was a bit of a scared straight moment to like care about my health because like I get because like from my perspective I kind of just got like a double like, you know not a double restriction but like a double finite like of like me living because like death is death like everyone knows about that one.
Right.
But then there's the other one where now it's just okay, well, there's a chance of failing health once I get older.
Deterioration.
Hmm?
Deterioration.
Yeah, like and I won't because I didn't feel it when I was younger. I don't really feel it now because I'm still young. But like later down the road, it could get worse. Not that it will. Just like as my doctor said, that as long as I keep getting treated and whatnot, I'll be fine. Because the closest, because like not close, because the cure in like at least in this context is that the disease is treated and there's like little to like there's like outright no flares and I'm
Right.
able to like live my life up into like older age. So I know that, but I just kind of keep going on with life.
So at one point, I'm hearing you that you have accepted, right? You have radically accepted these diagnoses because they're out of your control. But then on the other hand, there's still a little bit of fear, which is normal, what we call mixed emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And back to the MS, we didn't know or even had any kind of indication that MS. But as you get educated on it and you go back and you look over things that have happened before the diagnosis. And I feel bad every time I talk about this because I remember laughing at you when you fell. Just fell, standing there and fell. Do you remember?
What was this?
In Jamaica.
Like slipping down?
We just stood there. One point we just stood there waiting for the taxi and you just slipped. Look. But you weren't walking, and then you got up again and stood up, and as soon as you got up and stood up, you slid back down. And everybody was laughing. Everybody was laughing, and you got angry.
Yeah, because I think I was just, I don't know, I feel like I was still walking. Because, yeah, I think I just stepped on like a loose patch of dirt and it just started
You
slipping.
weren't walking at that point. You were just standing. There were other
Yeah.
times, but by that time you were standing. And sometimes I'm thinking that may have been the onset of it, but we didn't know.
I mean, I still believe that it came about when I hyperextended my left knee, like rushing to get ready to go to school to not miss the bus.
Were you feeling symptoms
Hmm.
then?
The only feeling, the only thing I was feel, how to say, no, the only thing I was feeling was like how sore my knee was because I was kind of just powered through it
That
and
took me
whatnot. And it
back.
was kind of fine. I think like that day and the next day.
Yeah. And that took me back to, and I think it was before all this. One day you said to me, I may need to go to the doctor because I have been numb on one of my side. I can't feel anything on one side of my body for
Yeah,
days. You remember?
yeah, the left side of my body. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, huh? How long has this been? And I thought it was like that day. It was like, no, all week I just been powering through it, but now I can't feel anything on the left side of my body.
I don't think it was all week. Maybe like a day or two after like the last 2 days. So yeah, I don't think it was all week, but I did come up to you about it.
And that's what she has say. It has been tingling somewhere for the week.
Yeah,
You
my
just
like
couldn't,
my whole left side of my body.
yeah. Do you think
Um,
autism and MS shape the way you see yourself today?
once I guess
Hmm.
I don't really know how to explain it, but I guess so. I guess with like autism and like the way I get kind of grew up and got treated, I just have a like as I said before, like a higher level of self awareness that I just don't like dealing with it sometimes, but it's like I got used to it.
Right.
And for MS, I guess I don't say it shaped me that much, other than I guess just dealing with mortality more. I don't know because I had like it's like yeah, because I kind of just accepted when like bad things happen. I kind of just thought about the concept of death and was like okay. And the thing, I guess, after having the MS, it's more of like another like a more effective face immortality again. Yeah, I guess how I explain it like that.
I don't think I get it.
Like, how do I explain this? Well, I mean, like another face immortality is it's like it's saying I was like, yeah, okay, well, it's death, and like the dying happens, it kind of just happens, kind of like a line of thinking I had. But then I got tested on that again when MS came around, basically.
Yeah.
Like it won't kill me. It'll mean it'll just kind of just do something like less worse than death, but still pretty horrible to go through if like not
Mhm.
treated.
Yeah.
But like at that time I kind of just, I guess I got faced with the mortality of it again. It's like, do I mean what I think and like say and believe kind of thing.
Okay.
And, like I don't really bring it up and gladly I don't get asked a lot this question because I think I would still have like the same answer. Like I'm not meaning to like to sound insensitive. That's kind of just the conclusion I came to.
Right. So it seemed like it's better for you
Like,
not to.
I'm saying again.
No, go ahead.
It's like because like death will happen. That kind of happens to us all. That's how like God has like ordained it.
Hmm.
And I still have fears of dying, but I kind of just came to terms with that. It was like, okay, well, everyone has fears of dying. Even though I said I'm fine with, you
Yeah.
know, if death and dying did happen to me, it will still, the fear of it will still come up like as a physical response because,
Mhm.
that's just how the body works. And it itself doesn't want to die. So I won't, so like, that could happen. But like past that, it was like, well, it kind of is what it is.
Okay.
So, what do you want to say though?
You have answered that already.
Uh, yeah, like if the things I say and stuff is like I don't mean to intentionally just be a if anyone still says it's like a Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those hard pills to swallow that everyone has like to deal with, and like I'm sure as a mom, if like any other parents out there, that's kind of like one of the last things they want their kids to like hear because they themselves
Hmm.
know that well they're getting older, so other than what they can continuously do now for the kids and in the future, they don't have much time to live themselves,
Hmm.
and so they don't want their kids to face that kind of reality too soon. And as that's fair. It's like hard because like even if it's not like your kid, just hearing like maybe like an 8-year old coming to terms with death because they themselves are suffering with like some kind of terminal illness that the hospitals like trying to treat so they can at least have some more time left on earth. Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking because you see like all that future right there kind of just
Yeah.
meeting an early end.
So saying that, there are days when you say you just can't make it to work. How do emotionally, mentally, how are those days for you?
I guess like fatigue, or I guess a better term is like burnout. It's like I work to like my best of my abilities, but just deal with just what dumb thing comes by,
Yeah.
just talk around, make connections and whatnot, and just like
And I guess I'm asking, do you find yourself being angry or just questioning why you, because hey, I get up and I go every day. I don't have the symptoms, right? And when you look at other folks, maybe say, look at me, can keep going, going, going. But then because of the MS, there are times when you're slowed down, right? And that's what I'm asking. What keeps you from being angry,
Like what keeps me from being angry?
right? Or do you get angry?
Yeah, I get angry, but then I kind of just process it through and just go on in my day.
Mhm.
I kind of, or just stifle it to just process it later instead of like letting it stew there. Um, I don't really get angry because other people still are more able-bodied. I've been known that like not a whole lot of people are because they themselves have something going on with their life that they need to kind of just get going. Some
Yeah.
may need like pills, some may need like a shot. I don't know, who knows. So I don't really feel envy either.
Okay.
It's just like most of the time I just feel tired. I just don't feel like going to work.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the relationship today, right? Because I
Yeah,
do know growing up, I was one of those, as your sister would say, those Jamaican parents. What is it called? Authoritarian parent, right?
yeah.
How do you think, or how has that changed over the years, if it's changed?
I say it's somewhat changed, and it's mostly like because I'm like older, so the level of the strictness when I was a kid isn't there anymore. But like a level of it's still there now to to have me to follow to keep I don't know, so to keep doing what I'm supposed to do and still correct me on things I fall on as well. But like I said, it wasn't as bad as before.
Do you appreciate
But
at your age now? And I just heard you say, I'm still correcting on things that you may not follow through with, right?
yeah,
At this age, do you appreciate it? Or am I still overboard?
it's only like a little bit overboard, and to a degree, I appreciate it because it's kind of like a bit of a reminder. But it also still kind of takes back to self doubts and trying to like do what I need to do and just trying to manage that part, just being optimistic instead of like being nihilistic, like where not a whole lot of things matters.
Right. Any moment in your life that you realize that, "Oh, I'm actually trying."
Yeah.
Hmm. And with everything, you mentioned being treated differently, among other stuff. What has forgiveness looked like for you?
I guess what forgiveness like looked like to me was how like what wrongs I did wasn't taken super critically. How it's, the responses be like, hey, it's like all right and whatnot. Like do you need some help? Um and I guess like you don't need to do things like things by yourself. You know, you got other people here. And while just seeing while while being seeing flawed, just not not have that as too much of like a defining trait, I guess.
Were you
Because I
able to forgive?
experienced this,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Because I experienced it like in church, or church is. I experienced this in like with close friends at school, in college, and with my coworkers. So like the current job I work at.
Were you able to forgive me?
Uh, I say yes, but I guess I'm still like working through any like lingering resentment, more so on behavior rather than on person. Cause cause like how to say, like the person, like the persona won't like go through immediate change. So to kind of just have, I guess, a leveled expectation, and for me at least personally, just kind of follow through on like what God and Jesus says about like forgiveness. Like, at least practice that to the best of my abilities. And I just like learn to just separate at least the actions from the person, and kind of as a way to, I guess, understand what's going on and such. And I can always done it as like a reminder, even when I was like, in Sebring and getting yelled at, I still kind of do that on like on an occurrence to remind myself like, yeah, you're flawed, you have like reasonings. I don't agree with every behavior you did, but for some of the behavior I do understand, because I also understand the living situation like we were in. So
Thank you for understanding.
you're welcome. And the living in it was like the hard time and such, but uh the feelings are like still there, and some actions just was too far. So even when I do get like process through that, I guess they'll still like leave a mark in and of itself. But I say yes, I still like forgave. I still forgave.
I know that one of the difficult times for you was when you lost your hearing. And because of my insecurities, I would always correct you about putting your hand to your ear.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, or maybe I failed to acknowledge that guiding your hearing with your hand was very important to you at the time. But my
Yeah,
selfishness, I just didn't want anyone to know what you were going through.
I understand that. I
What do
do.
you, yeah, what do you think we have taught each other throughout this process?
I guess patience,
Hmm.
resilience,
Hmm.
what to do, whenever I become a parent, what not to do whenever I become a parent. Um, being, I guess, at least try to be more assertive
Hmm.
and I guess proactive
Hmm.
and kind of just have a level of understanding of of self and for others.
Hmm.
I say that's about what I can say.
Okay. If if you could speak directly right now to a young person, first I'm gonna ask you to speak directly to a young person who may be going through this autism and MS. What would you say?
If I were to speak to a young person who's going through this, is to not to give up, find what works for you, have patience because not everyone has this, and be understanding because they're trying to use what worked for them or what they've seen work with others and trying to use that with you because they are trying their best to raise you and have you just be the best that you can be and just be able to live like at least a long healthy life. um I guess speak up with those you trust and whatnot. Try to not hold any resentment because that's so because it will feel, I won't say it will feel good, but it kind of, although it feels like it gives you stability and for you to remember what gave you that resentment as a safety mechanism. It is a poison that can have you just become the worst that you can be even if you try to manage it,
Mhm.
because it can latch onto what you use to feel good as a way to drive you further.
Okay. And
And
what?
for the ones, I guess, for the ones with autism, it's just keep being you, but don't forget about the people around you. And there will always be someone who will like you for you, even if you have autism. Just just be aware and just be careful of any groups of persons that try to use this against you or who seem nice but may actually just be a bad crowd. And for ones with MS, it's like just do not worry. Like still be attentive about your health, listen to your doctors or whatnot. But there's research going into the MS. There may be a cure, but for right now, it's only got a treatment. Just keep sticking to your treatment unless your doctor says you have to go to a new one because your current one failed, as in like there was like a maybe like a flare up or a minor breakout. Um, and just do what you usually do with some changes, to your health, your diet, and whatnot. Talk to people, and for both, just live the life that God has gifted you. Because
Awesome.
being, I don't want to say depressed, but just being in sorrow and getting quick fixes is, I guess, good and all, but you're doing yourself a disservice for not just at least going out, making friends, making connections, maybe get a new hobby, play some games and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, the world sucks right now, but it's not going to be like that forever. And just appreciate every good moment where something nice happens and just kind of live life and whatnot. So that's about what I want to say.
That's beautiful. Very beautiful. And I'm going to add, and for us, we know we keep God at the forefront and we depend on Him. And maybe, families out there can do the same. Now, here's a final question that I want to ask you. Is there anything you ever wanted to ask me as your mom that you never asked?
Mm, what do I want to say? I guess try to find a way to word this. I guess have I grown into what I needed to be?
Have you grown into what you needed to be, or have you grown into my expectation of you?
I guess that like have I gone into like your expectations? I guess what do you think of me as such?
Have you gone into my initial expectation? No. And listen, because I was selfish, right? We all want what we want for different people. And I have learned that we cannot place our expectation on someone else because they may not be able to fill that expectation. So, but over time, yes, you have. And I don't know if you remember, I've always said I wanted you to be a football player, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was my expectation for my little baby boy. Oh, he's going to be the next Walter Payton. I don't know if you remember me even saying that name.
I don't think so. No.
So selfishly, that's what I wanted, right? That's not what God have in store for you, right? So now accepting who you are, you're totally perfect the way you are. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you're diagnosed, you're making the best of it. And I can repeat, you're doing better than I am doing with it, right? You're coping a lot better. You have hope, faith, and you're the one struggling. I have those as well, but there are days when it's heavy. It's heavy for me to see my son going through things that I have no control and I cannot reverse. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, you actually are a very successful young man. You're not allowing diagnoses to take control of your life, and I could not ask for better. You have completed college. You're very independent. You're able to maintain a job, even you're able to maintain a job despite there are days when you just cannot show up. right? But
Yeah.
you're still putting out an effort and you're still moving forward. And I may not say it every day, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All it took was for me to accept who you are, who God gave me, right?
Yeah.
He didn't give me the football player that I was looking for. He didn't give me the military man that I thought I was going to have. Because I remember talking to you about going into the military. And you're like, but I'm not going into the military. I can't do that. That's before we understand that, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most definitely.
Yeah. Okay. That's not that. Yeah. That's the question then.
Yeah. So how do you feel about my answer?
I think the answer is great. Yeah, it's just so it's like self-reflection,
Mhm.
just working with what you got, and and I do appreciate you saying just coping with I have like well, but I do recognize and do find inspiring how you kind of still go through your life or like what issues come by because you have your downs too, but you still put myself, my brother, and my sister first. Try to juggle like all those responsibilities, even with like help with like with family,
Mhm.
and you're still going for what you want even as you grow older, and you just aren't letting that stop you either. So
You calling me old boy?
a little bit, sure. So it's like you don't need to like because unless you're just being humble, I'd say don't no need to like put yourself down either.
Right. Yeah. Got it. I didn't think I was going to get through this. Mr. Clark, I love you so much. I don't say that often either, right? But you know I love you. I do love you.
I know.
Yeah. And so to everyone watching, if today's conversation taught you anything, it is this. Sometimes I'm a living witness to that. The people we love aren't difficult, because I sure thought my son was so difficult. They're experiencing the world differently than we understand it. Whether you're a parent, a son, a daughter, a caregiver, or someone living with autism, MS, multiple sclerosis, or another invisible challenge, remember this: everyone deserves to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, and to be loved. Healing often begins when we replace our assumptions with curiosity, judgment, and with compassion, and fear with understanding. Let me make that clear because I think I messed up what I wanted to say. Healing begins when we replace assumptions with curiosity, replace judgment with compassion, and fear with understanding. And there are times when, even now for me, as sometimes I, self reflect, I wish I did things differently. Cannot go back, but I'm always thriving to do better for myself and for my children, especially Tavares. So thank you for joining me for another episode of Moving Forward Talk. And of course, this is where we share real stories of struggle, growth, and healing. If this conversation touched your heart, if you have learned anything from this conversation, please like, subscribe, and share. It may be exactly what another family needs to hear. And remember, your diagnosis does not define your destiny. Your past does not determine your future. And no matter what you're facing, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.